Most people moving to Richmond make the same mistake. They pick the house first, not the life, and I understand why. Richmond has a way of making homes look really appealing online. Big kitchens, front porches, sometimes even a backyard that feels huge. If you're coming from somewhere like DC or New York, it can feel like you just unlocked a cheat code. But about 6 months after people move here, something interesting usually happens. The commute feels longer than they expected. The coffee shop they like is across town, and the places they imagined being part of their routine aren't actually part of their routine. Because Richmond isn't just one lifestyle, it's several. You could start your morning walk past 150-year-old brick homes in the Fan, grab coffee around the corner, and end the night at a brewery in Scott's Addition. Or your day might start with a quiet neighborhood street, a driveway, and a backyard where the grill gets fired up while kids ride bikes at the cul-de-sac. Both of those lives exist here. Same metro, completely different rhythm. And after helping people relocate here for years and growing up here myself as a native Richmonder, I've noticed something. The buyers who end up happiest don't start with the house. They start with their daily routine. Because once you understand that, the right part of Richmond usually becomes obvious, and sometimes it's not the place people expected. So, before you fall in love with the house online, let's talk about something that matters a lot more, your day. When I'm helping people relocate to Richmond, I see the same pattern over and over again. Most buyers begin the search thinking the biggest decision is the house. But after a few conversations, we usually realize the real question is something different. How do you actually want your life to look here? I've had plenty of buyers arrive convinced they wanted one area. And after we talked through the routine, they ended up somewhere completely different. Because Richmond changes quickly. Drive a few miles and the rhythm of daily life can feel totally different. You might want to walk to coffee in the morning, or your ideal evening might be grilling in the backyard while the neighborhood settles in for the evening. Both of those lives exist here. And once you start thinking about your routine first, the right part of the city or metro area usually becomes a lot clearer. So instead of starting with the house, start with your day. Let's begin with the very first part of it, your morning. Some people wake up, walk down the street for coffee, pass historic brick homes at the Fan, grab a pastry, and ease into daily life. That routine exists here. Other mornings look different. A podcast comes on, the car pulls out of the driveway, and a 15 to 20-minute drive feels perfectly normal if it means a bigger home, a quiet street, and more space. Both versions of Richmond are real, but daily life here can feel very different depending on which one you choose. One thing that surprises relocation buyers is how the metro actually works. Richmond isn't built around a single job center. Some people head downtown, others commute to the West End. Many work around Short Pump, Chesterfield, or across the river. Driving is simply part of daily life here. Direction matters more than distance. 10 miles one way might be an easy cruise. 10 miles another direction might mean crossing the river or navigating interstate traffic. The house matters, but the routine around the house matters more. When mornings work, the rest of the day usually falls into place, because in Richmond, a day might look like this: coffee in the Fan, run along the James River, meeting friends at a brewery in Scott's Addition later that night. The rhythm of your day matters more than people expect. Weekends are where your lifestyle in Richmond really starts to show up, because the way someone spends a Saturday usually reveals far more about the life that they want to build than the house they originally thought they wanted. Once people start picturing their weekends here, the conversation about where to live often shifts naturally. Richmond offers several completely different rhythms of life depending on which part of the metro you land in. For some people, a Saturday might begin with a slow walk through Carytown. This stretch of city packs more than 200 locally owned shops and restaurants into a few walkable blocks. People grab coffee, browse stores, and meet friends for brunch. Later in the afternoon, they might head to Scott's Addition, where more than 20 breweries and cideries have opened over the past decade. The patios fill up as the day goes on, and the whole neighborhood has this relaxed social energy. That kind of weekend has an easy rhythm. Coffee turns into food turns into conversation, and wandering from place to place becomes part of the day. What makes Richmond interesting is how easily those experiences connect. Other weekends across the Richmond area look completely different, because the energy shifts. In places like Midlothian, Glen Allen, or Bon Air, a Saturday afternoon might involve neighbors gathering outside while someone grills in the backyard. So, I'm curious about something. When you picture your ideal Saturday in Richmond, does it involve wandering through coffee shops and restaurants in busy neighborhoods? Or does it look more like a backyard barbecue, a quiet street, and time outside with friends and family? Drop that in the comments below, because those answers usually reveal more about the right neighborhood than any home search filter ever could. One thing that surprises many people relocating here is that Richmond doesn't really behave like a single uniform city. It's more like several different lifestyles sitting inside the same metro, which is why two people can move here and end up having completely different experiences depending on where they land. The Richmond Metro is home to about 1.3 million people across the 17 localities that make up the Richmond Metro. That means the lifestyle can shift quickly depending on which direction you go. Drive 15 or 20 minutes in almost any direction and the environment can feel completely different. Someone living in the Fayette or Churchill might experience Richmond as historic, walkable, and full of neighborhood energy. Coffee shops on the corner, restaurants a few blocks away, evening walks past rows of brick homes, while restaurant patios fill up for the night. A short drive away, the rhythm changes. Areas like Short Pump, parts of Glen Allen, and much of Midlothian represent another version of Richmond where life revolves more around space and convenience. Newer homes, larger neighborhoods, easy access to parks and shopping. Drive a little farther and another version of Richmond appears. Places like Goochland, Powhatan, and parts of Hanover County open into quieter landscapes where homes may sit on several acres. Life moves slower there. Weekends might involve gardening, home projects, or simply enjoying the quiet. One reason these different lifestyles work together is how connected the metro is. Once people realize Richmond offers multiple lifestyles inside the same metro, another truth usually appears pretty quickly. Almost every relocation decision comes down to the same question: how do you balance convenience, space, and lifestyle? Most buyers start the search trying to optimize three things at once: short commute, bigger home and yard, and easy access to restaurants, parks, and places they enjoy. The challenge is that you can usually maximize two of those three, but rarely all three. Richmond has a funny way of reminding people that you can't date walkability, square footage, and a zero commute at the same time. And this is usually the moment where buyers pause and go, okay, something has to give. That trade-off shows up in ways people don't always expect. Someone might fall in love with a walkable neighborhood like the Fayette or Churchill, but historic homes and central locations often mean smaller homes or higher price per square foot. Another buyer might tour homes in Midlothian or Glen Allen, where newer construction and larger kitchens make everyday life easy. But reaching downtown restaurants or events may involve driving. Then there are buyers exploring places like Powhatan or Goochland. More space, more privacy, but longer drives for everyday errands. None of those choices are wrong. They simply reflect different priorities. The biggest mistake relocation buyers make when moving to Richmond is assuming the house itself will determine whether they love living here. In reality, the routine surrounding the house usually matters far more, because in Richmond, most places technically aren't that far apart, but those extra 10 or 15 minutes start adding up when they happen every single day. Direction matters. Routine matters. Sometimes the opposite happens. Buyers choose a slightly smaller house closer to the places they enjoy spending time. And suddenly, daily life becomes easier. So, I'm curious about this. When you imagine life in Richmond, which matters more? The biggest house your budget can buy? Or being closer to the places where you'll actually spend your time? Drop that in the comments, because those answers usually reveal the right location faster than any home search filter. By the time buyers reach this point, most realize Richmond isn't a place where you casually pick a house and assume everything else will fall into place. The Metro offers several different ways to live, so the real challenge becomes understanding which part of the map supports the routine you want. That's why I like to walk buyers through a simple lifestyle test. Your routine reveals more than any listing ever will. The first question is simple. Where do you spend most of your time during the week? Work, school, gym, coffee shops. Those repeated trips shape daily life far more than the highlight moments people imagine during house hunting. The second question is what weekends actually look like. Not the aspirational version, the honest version. Coffee, Target run, backyard time, or maybe Carytown and the James River. When buyers answer those questions honestly, patterns start appearing. And suddenly the map of Richmond becomes much easier to understand, because the people who end up happiest here rarely bought the biggest house. They landed in the part of the metro that fits their life. And when your routine lines up with the right part of Richmond, the city stops feeling complicated and starts feeling like home. The biggest takeaway from all of this is simple. In Richmond, the house matters, but the routine around the house is what determines whether you truly love where you live. Today, we connected daily life to where you should actually land in the city, and I've seen this play out with many relocation buyers. Some people start focused on getting the biggest house possible, but once they map out their routine, they realize most of the places they enjoy spending time are closer to the city. Others discover the opposite. They arrive thinking they need to live near the center of everything. They realize they value space, quiet, at a slower pace more. That's when the move finally feels right. So, if you're thinking about moving to Richmond and trying to figure out which neighborhoods might fit your lifestyle, as a Richmond native and someone who helps relocation buyers every week, this is exactly what I help people work through. You can call, text, email, or grab a time on my calendar anytime. All of my contact information is in the description below. And here's the part most people don't expect. In Richmond, the better life usually isn't hiding in the perfect listing. It's hiding in the right routine.